Dobrý den, dámy a pánové. Opět vás zdravíme, tentokrát s rozhovorem, který volně navazuje na cyklus přednášek odvosílaný na konci minulého roku, který nesl název O letectví pokaždé jinak. Dnes vás zdravíme ze studia Airzone TV v Ústí nad Labem, kde naším dnešním hostem bude pan Yevgenem Ryabininem, bývalý zkušební pilot pro Antonov Design Bureau v Kyjevě a momentálně je jeden z našich letových instruktorů v letecké škole FR. Good afternoon, Yevgeni.
Dobrý den. Ahoy. Good afternoon. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
So, Yevgeni, it's great that you have come to see us here today. And I will just say, as I already mentioned, you were achieved by the time you left Antonov Design Bureau. You were in the position of the chief test pilot. Is that correct? Then you proceeded to fly business jets, and now, apart from other things, you are working for FR as our instructor in Karlovy Vary. It is a very interesting career. From our previous discussions, it sort of came to my understanding that there is basically no aircraft type that you haven't flown, or at least there are very few aircraft that you haven't flown. Tell us, what led you to become a pilot in the first place? How did your aviation career actually start?
Yes. Actually, I started to fly when I was 15 in an air club near Kyiv, and my first plane was glider, Blanik.
Oh, the Blanik glider.
Blanik, yeah, L-39. My first solo was on 11th of June, 1986.
1986, on a Blanik.
11th of June, I remember this, yeah. On a Blanik, in airfield, the name is Chaika. It's a very old one, old air club. In the Kyiv region, city. And my grandfather, he was a technician. He was a World War II technician on a Petlakov 2.
Petlakov 2, the dive bomber.
Yeah, he was technician. And he had a lot of friends, the former pilot, and they were sitting together, to celebrate some, birthday party, let's say. And I was young. I was great involved in these discussions about aviation. And when I was young, 6, 7 years old, I realized there is no way for me other than to be a pilot. That's it. That was everything was ranged from my beginning of understanding of my life. So I understand that I need to be a pilot. I have to be a pilot. I have to be a pilot.
And indeed you are. Yes.
yes.
And so about your career at Antonov. When you started flying for the Antonov.
Actually, to be a test pilot, it's not the beginning of your career. So you have to start. So as I said, I was a glider pilot. Then I applied for military academy in Soviet Union, and I failed my medical because of the height. So the limitation was 1 meter and 85 centimeters, and I had 1 meter 88. So I failed. I failed my check.
3 centimeters.
But it was good for civilian airplane. So when I failed my medical to be a fighter pilot, I applied for civilian academy to be a civilian pilot. There was a university in Soviet Union. There was 2 actually university. One in territory of Kazakhstan, Aktyubinsk city, and the other one on territory of Ukraine, Kirovograd. It was a very famous university in Soviet Union time. So I spent there 5 years. 5 years, and I got my first job as a first officer, Antonov An-225, based in Kyiv Airport, Zhylyane. So that was my first. I was 21 years old when I got my first Antonov An-225.
Yeah. Turboprop.
Turboprop, yeah, which can carry up to 52 passengers. It's a regional airplane. And that was my first commercial job. And then actually I got my first offer to be a jet pilot on business jets on the Falcon 20 in 1995. So very quick, actually. in those days. And I spent 5 years with the Falcons. 8 years with the first model of Falcons fleet, Falcon 20, Falcon 200. And then when I was 32 years old, I said to myself, yeah, if I stay with the business jets, it's good job, interesting, but I need something else to discover in aviation, something else. And to discover, you need to be a test pilot. Then I applied for Antonov Bureau to be a pilot, not a test pilot. The way to be a test pilot, you have to be the pilot. You have to be elected as a normal pilot. So I got this job. I passed my interview. It was actually a very hard interview, to be honest, because they wanted to see how you are able to analyze the things related to aviation. Not just, the formulas. How do you feel this formula? What do you think about this and this? Okay, that was quite tough, actually. And those days was very tough. I was like, oh, what they're asking? What they want from me? I know everything in aviation. No, but those days I thought, I know everything. I'm from, Anyway, then I got my type rating as Antonov An-225 first officer. And then... about 1.5 years, they offered me to be a test pilot after that. So I was graduated from the test pilot school. It took me 1 year and 2 months. And then I became a test pilot of Antonov Bureau.
Yeah. Okay, and as a test pilot for Antonov Design Bureau, you said you got the chance to fly almost every Antonov type. Yeah. So from AN2,
yes, correct,
all the way to AN225.
Yeah. But it's the end of the career, So they never let you fly Antonov to fly at the beginning, because it was a privileged assignment. You have to work, you have to demonstrate that you are a good pilot. Not only pilot, because the test pilot, it's not only a matter of piloting. The test pilot, they're involved in a lot of aspects of aviation. So you have to deal, with a lot of this documentation, simulator research. You have to deal with different departments because everyone wants to know what the pilot point of view regarding this, and this. It's actually quite interesting. So it's not about the flying only. We spend a lot of time sitting in the office, not the flying.
And working on with the actual designers of the aircraft, with the engineers, with the aerodynamic engineers, with the system engineers, and so on.
Yeah. Indication. So how to present it to the pilot, how to create the warning system. Let's say, what kind of messages do we want to see if we have this kind of area? It's very interesting. Very interesting job. It's amazing job, to be honest. And regarding the flying, the Steel and Antonov Bureau, for instance, we have a company, the cargo company, which operates as a normal airline, commercial airline. So, and the workhorse of this company, of course, it's the Antonov An-225 airplane. This is the brilliant airplane, fantastic airplane in terms of ability to perform the missions, the cargo missions. Of course, we're talking about the cargo missions, and it's a very interesting and very unique airplane. That's actually connected to 225, because for us, for the pilots, it's the same type rating. Because the system absolutely identical, 124 and 225. Engines the same, everything the same. The only difference is the throttles is fly-by-wire.
On the
AN225, the throttles is fly-by-wire, so it's electrical thing. But the software design, the flight control system design, it's identical. All this navigation equipment, air conditioning system, hydraulic, everything the same. So for pilots, it's the same type rating. But to fly 225 in those days, you have to be the captain of 124. Not only the captain, you have to be the good captain. This way, and then you have to be test pilot. Then you will get a chance to fly 225. Okay. So that was the way to reach, this remarkable airplane and to say, I have an assignment to fly it. to fly it. And actually, I never forget my first flight. I was really proud. Wow, this is a plane. This is a really historical plane.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the An-225. Our viewers probably know that it was developed from the An-124, primarily to carry the Russian space shuttle, the Buran.
That's also actually was only one reason for that.
Yes.
That's only one reason. And our general designer Oleg Konstantinovich Antonov. Actually, one of his last, the documents he signed before he died was to implement 2 vertical fins on the 225. Because initially the project was to have one. Like if you know...
One fin like on the 747.
On 747, which
carrier.
is exactly. And then finally there was discussions, and finally as a general designer you have to make a decision. Like a captain. You have a captain, first officer, you have a lot of smart guys around you, but as a general designer, you have to make a decision, which the final layout has to be improved. So one of his last decisions was, 2 vertical fins, actually.
And that was to have more control authority, or because of airflow disturbances around the shuttle?
Exactly, yeah, because of this. So, and if you have the 2 vertical fins, it's aerodynamic point of view, it's more preferable. But the problem is twisting and bending moments, For the
I have actually seen a couple of videos where I think they are taking off with the An-225 from Leipzig, and they put engine on full power on the runway just before the brake release, and you can see the flexing of the
and you can see it in the cockpit as well, because the yoke is dancing like it's dancing. So,
it's through the hydraulics.
So we don't hold it, but it's quite, And not only the flight controls yoke is hold, and your seats it's jumping like a real Ferrari ride. And it's actually very interesting. As soon as you move the airplane, so you release the brakes, and it's disappeared. Because once you have airflow, everything goes away.
We should probably mention, I don't know this from the top of my head, but what is the span of the horizontal stabilizer?
I don't remember, to be honest. Don't ask me, I don't remember.
35 meters, something like that.
Don't remember.
It's close to 737 wingspan, right? Something like
I have a nice T-shirt, but it's not with me. They have all the size,
Yeah.
I don't have it with me, so I don't remember. I remember it's 88 meters. The wingspan. They are close. So both close to 90 meters. Yeah. They actually, the engine number 1 and number 6, they're quite low because it's a low wind. And it happened with one of our crew in Sheremetyevo, actually, I remember. They hit the snowbanks.
With the engine?
With the engine, during the landing. Because they removed the snow and the snowbanks was outside of the runway, but the airplane is huge, so they hit... it was not accident, just a... hit a bit because
Okay, so after the breakup of the Soviet Union, the Buran shuttle program was halted. And what was the history of the aircraft then? When did it?
Actually, good question. The aircraft was just parked and didn't fly. And then late 90s, there was decision to perform to complete necessary testing to prove that the airplane is safe according to the certification rules, and to release it like a normal cargo airplane. So the program actually starts, I think, 2001. And the company got the certificate that the airplane is able to fly commercially. So that was. So it was fully certified commercial airplane, any other. Okay. So it means you can operate this airplane safely for...
And since then the aircraft was in service with the Antonov Design Bureau.
Yes, it was a part of our fleet for the cargo fleet part of our...
And it performed mainly special types of operations.
Yeah, the unique, and they preserve it for special missions. Because if you guys, if you see the Antonov An-225 airplane, you can see it everywhere, yeah, in fact. And it was really well designed for the quick loading and offloading. Because the nose of the aircraft, you can put it up and put some part of the cargo in the first part of the cargo compartment. And then on the other side, you can use the rear compartment door to put the cargo inside. So, for instance, actually, I have a question now to you. If you're able to answer, what do you think? How long is going to take to load the cars in the cargo compartment of Antonov An-225?
To load them.
30 cars.
30 cars.
What do you think? How long is going to take?
60 to 90 minutes.
25.
25.
Yes. 25 minutes only. So the airplane sit on the nose, doors open, half of the car comes the first part, then the airplanes change position. By the time when the other cars are going into their cargo compartment, the others are fixed by the technicians. And then in 25 minutes you can start engine startup clearance.
Wow.
So it's amazing. I mean,
it's faster than Ryanair getting
it's unbelievable.
Passengers.
I remember my first year, I was really impressed just to see how it's well organized, loading and offloading. It's amazing. It's state of the art how they manage this.
This was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask. I've heard from people who flew on cargo jets, different cargo jets, that the biggest boss on board is not the captain, but it is the load master, the guy in charge of the...
Yes. In fact, it's a well-known person. And he's the first one who is given in the company as assessment of the pilot. This is a good one. This is the bad one. The load master.
The load master is giving assessment for the pilot.
For the pilot. It's a good pilot. This is a good one. Yeah. Yes, because he's taking care of cargo. And yes, the duty of the crew is to check the load, the CG. It's very... So not only this CG, but let's say there was a must kind of how pre-flight check. We enter the cargo compartment, check where is the cruise located. You can see the mark on the fuselage, the meters, and to make sure everything. Because the load master giving you CG, it's already calculated by him without fuel. So we as a crew, we have to compare that this CG is okay for takeoff and make sure it's okay for landing. Because the fuel is consumed by the engines and the CG is shifting. So you have to check that the landing CG is within the limit. And of course, for the big airplanes, who is a pilot, you know, guys, that we try to keep as most as possible aft CG to reduce fuel consumption. It's a question for professional pilots. Why do we need? They know the answer. I don't want to talk about the aerodynamics now, guys, but that's not only a proper loading for the proper CG. And the second problem is to move it as much as possible aft, to the aft.
To save fuel
and
consumption.
I can tell you that most forward CG with fully loaded airplane and most aft CG, the fuel consumption difference per hour could be up to 1 ton.
1 ton per hour.
1 ton per hour could be up to 1 ton per hour.
That's a lot. And did the AN-124 have a system for changing the CG in flight like the 747? No. The fuel stays in the main tanks, in the wing tanks. You cannot move the fuel around.
It's so very sad to say this, but no. The only thing we could manage the CG, there was 2 cranes inside. So you can move the cranes.
Of course. And you have to include may I ask you how much does one of those cranes weight approximately?
The weight of the crane, if I think the first one is 1,500 kgs, and the second one a little bit heavier. There is 2, which is loading the containers, the big containers, because the containers could be up to 10 tons. So sometimes even more. So we needed 2 cranes to move. So to check it, there is 2 cranes, so you can move it, and also the tow bar. The tow bar, it's always in the aft part because we use our own tow bar.
Because you have the double nose landing gear.
And every time if we need towing, we use our own tow bar. And it's quite heavy actually. It's 1,200 kilos. Just the tow bar.
Just the tow bar.
So you need crane to put it down, and then all technicians, 10 people, they're like slaves, move this. Yeah, you can see they have to move it by hand because. Yeah. So they move it and attach it and then push. Actually, I didn't like this pushback on the carrier plane. Actually, it's good to say that any airplane in the world is designed to fly. Mm-hmm. Taxi is always stress for any airplane because it's designed to fly. Taxi is a stress, and towing is the most stress for any, in fact, airplane. So for the towing, it's very stressful. And I remember the heavy loading when the tractor push back, you can see the print of the tires, on the apron, because when the airplane
they turn it to sharp.
They turn it to sharp, and you can see the rubber.
Yes, yeah. So, one of my other questions was, apart from the An-225 and the An-124, what kind of interesting aircraft did you get to fly as a pilot for Antonov?
Yes, actually, yes.
We already said that you flew almost all of them.
Yes, almost, except the old ones, let's say Antonov 8, I didn't fly Antonov 8. Actually, the remarkable airplane, one of this is Antonov 22. Mm-hmm. 22 airplane, the biggest turboprop. Yeah, the biggest turboprop. You can see one in Speyer Museum, actually. You can see, and why it's in Speyer Museum? Because of the engine. The engines were produced by World War II German, the designers, the engineers. Yeah, and the engine is very efficient, and the biggest engine, and it's still in production. It's they use this engine for Tupolev 95 and Tupolev 142. So it's still in use, the military one. Mm-hmm. So the same engine we have an Antonov 22 airplane, the cargo one. A very unique airplane, very interesting airplane. The sound of the engine is unbelievable. It's like the sound of the engine is like a whale, whale breath. It's the impressions you have in the cockpit when you move the throttles. It's unbelievable. You feel you are working with something real strong. And actually, the Antonov airplanes, they are all different, and if you can see most of them, not most, all of them, it's a high wing airplane. Mm-hmm. That was actually the question to Oleg Antonov, general designer. One of the journalists asked him, why all your plane has a high wing? And his answer was like this: have you ever seen bird low wing? No? So that's a good answer. I like it. Yeah, I like it. This is a real answer. So the normal, properly designed airplane needs high wing. Mm-hmm. If you see the low wing, there is a reason. Yes. The main reason in the test pilot school they told us is just the one, to save the weight.
For the low wing.
Yeah, for the low wing. It's just
because you save on the struts.
Yes, exactly. You have to reinforce only one part of the fuselage. That's why most of the transport airplane, the passenger airplane, they are low wing. But cargo airplane, you still need a high wing because you need a big fuselage and to be able to load and offload. We call it unsized cargo. Unsized. So we have a general cargo, which is most of the airplanes, they use the general cargo, it's the pallets. Mm-hmm. They packed on the pallets, this special system, which is
the containers you see them load into the normal passenger aircraft before every flight.
But if you need to carry something special, because there is a name of unsized cargo. It's only transport, special transport design, not converted transport cargo airplane. Like all the cargo airplane is a high wing. The Boeing and Lockheed Martin actually, the answer. And good to say, even now, because it's not published anywhere, in fact, everyone knows Ilyushin 76, right? Yes. Everyone knows. This airplane was designed by Antonov Design Bureau.
Was it?
Yeah, but it's high plane. Ilyushin is always low plane,
yes,
low wing.
That's true.
It was designed by Antonov Design Bureau, and then in the Soviet Union, the Communist Party said, okay, give everything to Ilyushin. He will finish it. You have to create the future Antonov 124. So they stopped working on this project.
On the 70th.
It was Ilyushin project. They gave it to the Ilyushin and then started to work.
That's true, because it slightly resembles, Ilyushin 76 slightly resembles Antonov 22 with the shape of the fuselage. It's a round fuselage having with the...
We can see it's not typical Ilyushin,
It is, yeah. I never thought of that, really.
Yeah, but this is, the internal story from Antonov Bureau. They told us, you know what? Do you know Ilyushin? Of course, it's Ilyushin. No, it's our airplane. It's Antonov Design Bureau airplane.
Yeah.
And for instance, Antonov 124 wings, they were tested, if I remember well, 75 wings, different wings were, the profile, the airfoil, yeah. And every wing has a certain benefits, advantage and disadvantage.
So there were 75 different designs.
Yeah, let's say the airphone's design, and there was also a big discussion which one to take. It was which one to take, and finally they told us the number 53, if I remember well, were selected as a wing. Yeah.
And this was the AN-124 was designed in the 1970s.
Yes, the first flight the first maiden flight was 1982.
82.
And the Mrija 1988.
1988. Yeah. So this was all basically, without modern computer
just to make an attachment to the fuselage to be able to put extra engines, and to fly, quite interesting for the cockpit. The engine 1 and engine 6 throttles, they attach to engine 2 and engine 5, so means we control the 4 engines like a 124, and those 2 small throttles just attach. If you need to detach, you just press and you
disconnect it.
Yeah, disconnect it, and then you, if you need to shut down the engine, just take that. So actually,
okay. So that's a very interesting thing. I was going to ask about the crew on the AN-225, because is it the same as AN-124?
Absolutely the same. Yeah, it's 2 pilots, 2 flight engineers. Mm-hmm. Y2, the one is responsible for the engine and the main system. The other one was dealing with air conditioning and electrical system. One navigator and radio operator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's the sort of the standard layout for
military design.
With the difference of the 2 flight engineers, because normally just that one. Yeah. And what was the navigation like on 124 or 225? Originally, it would have. Did it come with inertial navigation originally?
Yes, yes. Inertial navigation, so we need a platform to see the attitude, the heading, and so. Actually, now it's replaced by Honeywell IRS. So we have the same modern IRS like all other airplanes. So it was replaced because the airplane is still flying, and the old equipment is not able to support requirements for modern navigation accuracy. You need to. So actually, this is the one of the projects I was involved as well for testing the airplanes for PNAF, approval for this.
So it is up to the modern navigation, radio navigation standards. It's capable of following RNAV tracks.
Exactly, because we are working in the same environment like all other airplanes. If you are not able to fly in this environment, you have to take alternative route, and it's extra distance, extra,
extra money, extra time.
So you have to be able to fly and to be according to the requirements. Yeah.
Interesting. So, what is the actual difference? Because when you see, or when you used to see An-225 arriving to a certain airport, it was always a big event. All the people would gather around to see that aircraft. But for you as a pilot, so are there any other specifics? You told me before the recording that one of the big differences is that the nose doesn't open on the An-225, which is something I didn't know. Are there any things which are very, very specific to that aircraft in case from the pilot's point of view?
Yes,
from the handling?
Yes, there is one insignificant one: taxi. There is no cameras, nothing, only your feeling. And taxi is really difficult. So, for instance,
because of the wingspan.
Yeah, for instance, and there is a 7 struts. Each strut you have 2 wheels. So you have 28, 32 wheels. Yeah, and it's huge. So your nose wheel, behind you 10 meters almost. So if you need to turn airplane 90 degrees, like a normal taxiway 90 degrees, you have to turn. I'm not talking now about the U-turn, 180. It's state-of-the-art turn. First is 90 degrees turn. To turn the 1 to 4 is a bit easier to taxi. It's still difficult, but it's a bit easier. So to turn 2 to 5, you have to slow down to 5 kilometers. Let's say we're turning to the left. You hold all the brakes, left brake, completely full. Then you turn nose wheel steering all the way to the left. Then you have to take outboard engine number 6 to give some power, and number 5 a little bit, just to give inertia. And then you start turning 90 degrees. And remember, you are sitting, the view from the cockpit, you are out of taxiway. You are on the grass,
on the grass,
because the nose wheel is
10 meters behind it.
Yes. And then also all your wheels has to be aligned parallel the taxiway. Or let's say if you do the 180 degrees turn on the runway, all wheels has to be parallel the edge of the runway. If you are not parallel, you kill the distance when you are turning. So, and as I said, there is no camera. It's only feelings. Only your feelings. Similar problem 1 to 4, but the 2 to 5 it's more difficult. But it's manageable because we are human beings. We can adapt to any situation. In fact, so people think I will never make it. You will make it, but you need to be trained, and you have to work, and then everything possible. In aviation, everything possible. As I said, everything. You can do everything, but you need to work. That's it. You need to start.
Yes.
You need to start to fly.
Yes.
Any airplane.
That's the most important step always.
So we come to the Blahnik era, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, you have to fly. Whatever you want, you have to fly it properly, in a good way. If you know how to fly even the small Blahnik glider, then you'll be able to fly everything you want, in fact. Because the idea of flying is the same.
It is. The aerodynamics are the same. Right?
Yes.
The flight mechanics.
Yeah.
Okay. Apart from you being a test pilot, you also worked as let's say, a standard pilot during cargo operations, both with the An-124 and with the 225. Now it's autumn here in the Czech Republic. We have a lot of mushrooms growing. People like to pick mushrooms. And before the shooting, you told me the story with the mushrooms.
There is a lot of stories, related to... First of all, the cargo operation is a charter flights. So it's not regular flights. So every airport, most of the airport you fly, it's new for you. And some of them are quite unique, and the places, the countries you have... Actually, it's a hard job because you travel all around the world. Let's say you are 21 days on duty, and you could be everywhere in the world. You could be in Africa for 4 days, 5 days in the United States, then you go to Singapore for another 4 days, then you fly. So one day we end up in Arlanda Airport in Stockholm, bound for a long mission to carry telecommunication equipment to South Africa. I was a crew rest and next in the airport hotel. So in the morning, I went to the forest for jogging a little bit. You need to jog if you want to be a pilot, yeah?
I should probably get started.
Yes. Okay, anyway, so I went for jogging and I discovered there's a lot of mushrooms everywhere. And a good one. So finally, to make it quick, all of us, so we had a big plastic bag, a garbage bag full of mushrooms, the good ones. So we as a crew, we were sitting in the front deck. We called it front deck crew or the flight deck crew. And then we have a rear deck when the technicians were sitting in the back of the airplane. So
it is above the cargo.
Exactly above the cargo. Actually, if you look at the nose of the aircraft, it looks like 8.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is the main cargo fuselage, and then there is the small one.
So the cockpit are sitting on the fuselage. That's another. I can talk about 1 to 4 to endless. So anyway, regarding the mushrooms, because it's autumn now. So we had the front deck with the one plastic bag, the big one. The rear had 2. So I said, guys, how are we going to pass it through security? So there was people checking us and saying, why do we need it? We said, we're going to cook it. How do we go? How are you? Crew, yes, but on our 1 to 4 we have a kitchen, so we can cook the food. So the mushrooms was so delicious afterwards. I can finish the
so we
cook it. Yeah, we cook it and then we use it. I was, funny story. So everyone in the airport was shocked. Why do we need this? Are we going to cook it? Are you going to fly? Yes. Who is going to cook? Because we have actually it's on a cargo operation we always used to fly. We called it enlarged crew, augmented crew, because we have a proper crew rest area. So it's always extra crew member who is released from duty. So it means the max duty time we had up to 24 hours. 21, 22, and then with some extension you can go up to 24 hours duty time. That's so imagine. The one day we took off from. I even remember the day we took off from Japan, from Tokyo, I think. Yeah, Narita Airport from Tokyo. 31st of March in the evening. Then we had a refueling in Anchorage, United States, and then
Alaska.
And then the crew rest in Canada, Edmonton. 31st of March, 10 in the morning.
Because you went across the
so 31st
international deadline.
So we took off in 31st March in the evening and end up 31st of the March in 10 in the morning. So I spent 2 days of 31st of the March.
One extra day.
Yeah, extra day.
You said you were doing augmented crew operations. That means you can, and with the capacity of the aircraft, it was capable of doing very, very long flights. What was your longest flight?
The longest flights I had was from Seoul to Nottingham. Takeoff, not block time, flight time, exactly 15 hours.
15 hours.
15 hours. It's a takeoff and landing time, not a block time. So
takeoff to landing.
The block time on this airplane, it's another half an hour minimum, I would say. Half an hour minimum.
Because of the slow taxi procedure.
Slow taxi, and then the sequence for engine start and all the checks. Actually, yeah. So it's 15 hours, and if we are fully loaded, let's say fully loaded, your average travel time it's about 5 hours, 5.5.
Because of the limitation of useful load, you have to balance between fuel and cargo.
And we had the procedure in how to have the fuel remaining minimum 1.5 hour every time, or even up to 2 hours remaining fuel on the destination, just
to be sure.
To be sure, as a precaution, it's
yes.
So on a safe side. So we always stay on the safe side. It's not a low-cost airline operation with 1 hour fuel remaining, so we need some extra in case of diversion or extra holding and whatever.
Yes, and unfortunately, our viewers probably know what was the end of the Antonov An-225 this spring. But a common question people ask is whether there will actually be a decision made to rebuild the An-225 after the situation in Ukraine has stabilized.
Yeah, as far as we all know, a decision is made. So
it has been made.
Yeah, it has been made. So it's the only thing how long it's gonna take. Nobody knows, and technically it's possible. Technically it's possible. But it's very difficult, and it's money-wise, it's very expensive. Very expensive. Yeah. But we'll see. Hopefully we'll see this airplane back to operation.
But it would be great. It is a spectacular aircraft, and there were missions which could not be operated by any other aircraft.
And it's still the biggest. It was the biggest aircraft in the world, with max takeoff weight up to 660 tons. 60 tons, yeah.
That is a lot.
That
is 150 tons more than the A380.
Yeah, it's a 380. I think it's 560 something.
It's 500 and something. I can't remember from the top of my head. So over 100 tons more.
And then the official cargo load is up to 250 tons.
250 tons.
Fuel consumption is remarkable. It's first hour 30 tons and then 22 tons, 21. So it's a lot.
Per hour.
Yeah, per hour. Yeah.
It is a lot. Yeah. So it consumes two full 737s worth of fuel, like the weight of the aircraft, not the fuel. But
the engines are powerful, but the fuel consumption is quite high.
Yeah, you use the Progress.
The motor Sich, the Zaporozhye factory. Yes, these engines, each engine is 23,400 kilograms takeoff thrust. Yeah.
Of thrust.
Of thrust, yeah.
Yes. And it was quite for the time it was quite an advanced design, wasn't it? It was it is a 3-spool engine.
Yeah, it was at those days. Yeah, it was a good engine, but come on, it's already 40 years past.
Yes.
From the development stage,
it's
50 years, I would say. Yeah.
Oh yes. So maybe if we ever see Mrija flying again, maybe it will be with different engines.
Could be, it's also possible, but it will take. It has to be certified, yeah, and it will take time and once again the money, who is going to pay, But it's all about the future, Hopefully we will see this airplane flying,
hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, as we mentioned, you work as an instructor currently. Do you like the job? Being instructor?
I'm working since already many years as instructor. I like this kind of job. It's good. It's good. It's good to see the young people, and I'm very glad if I see someone really has a passion in aviation. So that's a good. So if you go to fly the airplane just to earn the money, it's not a good way. It's not a good way. Don't do this, okay? Pilots, future pilots. If you have to love your future job. That's the only way to be a good pilot. Yeah. But unfortunately, as you can see, some. I mean, we are.
It is like that with every. It is like that in every kind of job.
Yes, but as I mentioned before, don't think it's difficult. It is difficult, but don't think it's impossible. I told you it's possible. Just go flying. Just start. Just start flying from whatever you want. Glider, helicopter, or the plane, the small plane. If you like it, normally it's hard to say, I don't like it, when you start. Just keep going. Become a commercial pilot, become whatever, cargo pilot or military pilot, whatever. Just enjoy your life in aviation. It's a great life. And you will be the part of the history. When I was young, I didn't expect that I'll be one day flying 124 and 225, but it happened. It happened. I was on those days, I was one of the youngest captain on 124. I was 36 years old, only when I became a captain of 124. Only 36. I didn't expect it in my life when I was the first officer, Antonov An-225. For me, Antonov An-225 was like, oh, what is this? It's unreachable. Yeah. It's untouchable for me. But then
then it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow, yes.
So the most important thing is to have the passion.
Exactly. Yeah.
And start.
Yeah, and I'm proud to say I have 2 sons and a daughter. All my sons, they're aviators. My elder son, he is a captain of Airbus 320 for Wizz Air Airlines now. And he's instructor as well now.
On the A320?
Yeah, so it's my elder son. He was one of the youngest captain in the company. He was 27 years, 26 when he became a captain.
26?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm very proud to say this.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great. Okay, Yevgeny, thank you very much for the interview. It has been a great pleasure having you here and also having you as a colleague, as an instructor in the affair. And good luck.
Yeah, always welcome. Hope to see you for flying or for interview one day again.
Yeah, hopefully.
And good luck everyone who wants to start.
Yes.
Don't hesitate. Go for it. That's my offer. Okay, ciao guys. Ahoj.
Vážení diváci, děkujeme vám za pozornost. Také děkujeme AirZone TV za poskytnutí veškeré podpory a budeme se na vás opět těšit u další z našich příležitostných přednášek, buď to takto v online formátu, a nebo ještě lépe přímo osobně u nás v letecké škole FR na letišti v Benešově u Prahy nebo v Karlových Varech. Naschledanou.